Listen guys, I do not have a ton of time to film today, but the new round of Deck of Painting is out and I want to play. This is not my normal filming space. We're working with what we got. Listen, if you wait for conditions to be perfect to do what you want to do, you're gonna never get to do anything fun. So I know you are also thinking, Rebecca, we didn't even get a finale for last year's Deck of Painting. And yes, you are right. However, after like 3 months with no updates, I kind of felt like it might just be better to start fresh and move forward into the new year with optimism. So it's gonna be great. I've got my deck of Mandalorian face cards here. I don't have any products to report on, so we're just gonna get straight into it. About this project, this was created by Emily from Emily and Max. She was inspired by a booktuber named Books with Maddi, who came up with a pretty genius way to gamify her to be read pile using a deck of cards. I think that's brilliant. I actually kind of want to use that on my to be read pile as well, but Emily adapted it for use with our makeup collections. Okay, I've got the two Jokers here. I've got this cute little Jawa. How adorable is that? And a Tusken Raider. I'm going to take the Jawa this time, and we're going to stick that back in the deck. And then we're going to shuffle. I love this project so much. This is just, I don't know, one of the most fun ways that I have come across to semi-randomize my makeup usage. It just is a lot of fun. The prompts are really very clever. And I think it really helps me kind of think a little bit outside the box when it comes to my makeup collection and maybe reach for some things I otherwise might not. So, and especially when you have a collection as big as mine, that's always a good thing. Okay, I'm gonna just shuffle this a few more times and we will draw some cards. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to draw 5 cards so that we can roll in 5 products. A quick note on how I like to play this game. I like usage goals. I know that that is not necessarily how Emily intended the game to be played originally, but I really enjoy the shop your stash kind of aspect that this project takes on when using usage goals. So usually I will take my usage goal from the number of the card that I draw. So like for instance, 5 of hearts, that would be 5 uses. Okay, let's go ahead and draw 5 cards off the top here. We've got the 5 of diamonds, the king of spades. That's the spades, yeah. 6 of diamonds, that's 6, right? It's hard to read backwards in the viewfinder. Then we've got the jack of clubs. Okay, we got one more. Ace of clubs. Sweet. Okay, let us check out the game board. So this is the new game board for this month. Emily updates it every month. So the first one I pulled was the 5 of diamonds, which is fantasy self. Okay, I think I know what that is, but I want to double check. Let's go to the prompts key. Fantasy self. It's all fantasy self. There we go. Fantasy self. Something your fantasy self wanted, not something you often reach for or out of your comfort zone. Well, I think I might have a couple of those. All right. And then we have the king of spades. King of spades. In it for the long haul. Dang it. So in it for the long haul is a product that will take a long time to pan or a large usage goal. We'll either try to hit pan or I will go for a really significant usage goal. All right, the next one was the 6 of diamonds and something warm toned. Not my favorite category of makeup, but I'm sure we can find something. And then the jack of clubs, something that represents another project. Oh, that's fun. So I get to take a prompt out of another project. I like that. And then I've got the ace of clubs, a plan to pan. What does the plan to pan mean? Plan to pan. Reflect on the panning goals you set at the beginning of the year. Okay, well, joke's on you because I don't think I've actually come up with any panning specific goals. I did recently put up a video about my goals for my collection and my channel. So maybe I can find some inspiration there and figure out what we're going to pull for that one. Okay, so that is all 5 of them. I am going to take a moment and go pick my products and I will be back. Okay, you guys, I've picked my products and I am so excited. The first card that I picked was the 5 of diamonds, and that was for something you bought for your fantasy self. And I think this kind of fits the bill. This is the Hellet palette from Odin's Eye. This was their collab with Angelica Nyqvist, and this is what it looks like. I do think I bought this in a large part for my fantasy self because we have a lot of colors here that I don't reach for a whole lot. There is pretty much one look that I make out of this palette, which is these two colors here. I use those to create a little pink and green eye look that I like to use a couple times during the summer. But for the rest of this palette, I don't really reach into many of these shades. And I think part of that is because they are so colorful and dramatic. And I feel like I've been more and more resistant towards colorful and dramatic looks over the last couple of years. And also because there's a lot of warm going on, and I tend to shy away a little bit from warm colors. However, I want to use more than 2 shadows out of this palette. I actually don't think I've ever touched this one. I think that one is completely untouched, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this in a no pan left behind style. And I think I'm going to separate them into quads just to make this kind of, I don't know, make a little more sense to me. I'm going to take each quad. I'm going to make an eye look out of each one of those quads. And when I'm done, I will have hit every single pan in here and hopefully broadened my horizons a little bit. All right, the next one I pulled was, actually, I don't remember what order I pulled them in. So the next one here in front of me is the King of Spades. The prompt for that one was in it for the long haul. So I had to pick something that I'm willing to spend some significant time with this year. And I have decided to roll in this. This is my NARS Narcissist palette. It's got blush, it's got bronzer, it's got contour, it's got a little matte highlight in there. It's got all the things. I was really pleased with the progress that I was able to make on my Hourglass face palette last year in the same project. And I'm going to try to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to roll this in for, let's see, 50 uses or pan, whichever comes first. To be honest, these powders are they're pretty hard pressed in here. So I'm guessing I will probably hit 50 uses before I hit pan, but we will just have to see. In either case, this is going to be with us for a while. The next card is the 6 of Diamonds, and that was for something warm toned. For that, I am rolling in this Nabla Skin Glazing Highlighter in the shade Amnesia. Look at how delicious that is. I do not mind a little bit of warmth in my cheek products. I actually prefer a warm highlight over an icy one. And this is a really, really nice one. She's just so pretty. I don't think to reach for highlights very often. And because of that, I have a few really beautiful highlights just sort of languishing in my collection. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this in for 6 uses. Then for the Jack of Clubs, that was, that was to represent another project. And the project I would like to represent is one that I'm thinking about participating in, but I haven't committed to yet because I don't know what my capacity for projects is going to be this year. And that project is lip service. I acquired a number of new and beautiful lipsticks over the last few months. And one of them is Thanks It's MAC, from MAC, obviously. This is just a really pretty kind of cool pinky nude. It is, I'm wearing it on the center of my lips here, along with a couple other things. It's really very comfortable. It's a super flattering color. And I am going to go ahead and roll this one in for, how much is the Jack? That would be 11 uses. So yeah, rolling this one in for 11 uses. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. It is such a pretty lipstick. And then the last card was the Ace of Clubs, and that was Plan to Pan. So I'm supposed to reflect back on my panning goals in my 2026 makeup goals video, which I will link for you if you want to check that out. I mentioned a couple things. I mentioned how I did not want to do Pan That Palette this year because I dislike having to commit to a single palette for that length of time. That sucks all of the joy out of it for me. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes and I want to play with all of them. What I decided was that I would be rolling more palettes into other projects in a no pan left behind style like I'm doing with the Hella. And that way I can rotate through more palettes in the year and enjoy more of my palettes rather than focusing so singularly on one. That's going to make it a lot more fun for me. I also wanted to try to incorporate a little bit more color, which I'm also doing with the Hella palette. but I think this one fits the bill as well. This is a palette that I haven't picked up in a minute. I just keep overlooking it in favor of other things, but this is such a pretty palette and it's got some really interesting colors in it. This color story is so, I don't know. I feel about this color story the way I do about the most recent Mothership. I feel like an artist with an eye for color really put this together, because this is not the low-hanging fruit when it comes to a color story. This has a lot of nuance in it. It's a very unusual and sophisticated color palette, and I feel like I'm really gonna have a lot of fun with it. I actually think this was my first experience with Pat McGrath eyeshadows, and it's what kind of made me fall in love with the brand. And it needs a little more love. I haven't even managed to get the embossing completely off all of these shadows, so I need to work on that. I'm going to work on this in a similar way that I will be working on the Hello palette. I am going to do it I'm going to do it no pan left behind style, as I talked about in that goals video. Unlike the Hello palette, I'm not going to be dividing this up into looks that I want to get through. I am going to just use this how I feel inspired to use it and hopefully hit every single shade as I do so. So some of these shades are probably going to get more than one use, which is fine. The point is I want to be able to hit all of them at least once. So that one is rolling in as well. So that's actually a lot of palettes. I'm doing those 3 palettes and then also these 2 here. I think that's a good selection. I actually usually judge how well I have chosen my products for this project by how tempted I am to just wash my makeup off and start over with the products I pulled. And I am a little tempted to do that right now. This is exciting for me. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.